And welcome back, guys, for another edition of In Production by INC2. I'm your systems architect and future MCT trainer, Microsoft certified trainer in future. Um, and I am excited for today. Again, we're nearing the end of October, and I like to talk about, um, you know, IT and the different applications and the different operating systems and the different applications that we use to um, enroll and different administrator global administrator applications and enterprise applications and line of business apps that we use, but we tend to forget about security. And in this session, and obviously in October is Cybersecurity Month. So it is everybody's responsibility. And I am a avid evangelist when it comes to this stuff about cybersecurity and how to be secure and how to maintain your network and compliance to the regulations and to maintain those audits and maintain those numbers at a specific percentage. So in today's class, I want to talk about something called CIS Benchmark. Uh, and CIS is the Center for Internet Security. It's one of the many um, sites that are rarely visited or rarely talked about in the cybersecurity world, in the security world. And we have to understand that a safe environment is, especially in all environments, is crucial for your company's compliance and for your policies that are either global or et cetera, et cetera. So when we talk about this kind of stuff, we talk about CIS. And what is CIS? It's obviously Center for Internet Security. Um, so we have to understand what that is and who they are as an entity, because this does help with specific security features and alleviate that cybersecurity threat, right? And to make sure that our systems and all our systems, even be it BYOD, personal or corporate, are all met with those specific compliance and standards. So let's see if I can find it down here. Give me 1 second. Find a good picture for find cybersecurity icon. There you go. See if I can find a cybersecurity icon that works, or something that's shield based. Um, let's see. Find something that's awareness icon here. Awareness image month. There you go. There you go. This one. I'm going to maybe my background picture, which I love very much. Great picture. Oh, okay, so again, we talk about awareness, we talk about benchmarking, we talk about the Center for Internet Security, right? There's different standards and features that we as IT um, enthusiasts or IT evangelists or IT administrators or security architects or cybersecurity analysts or cybersecurity directors or that seem to talk about and where the latest threat is and is it going to come to you or is it available or do we have to wait for it or et cetera, et cetera. So being aware is everybody's responsibility, right? So it is. It's everybody's responsibility. It's not just the IT department. It's you as the employee. It's you as the family member. It's you as the person talking to. It's everyone's responsibility, and not just IT. People seem to forget that IT is just an easy job and there's wanting something done right away, but do not realize what's in the back end and how the back end works and whatnot. So it is everybody's responsibility, not just IT. Okay. So we need you guys to be aware of that and understand that. So CIS is the Center for Internet Security, and the website is tagged here. It's a nonprofit entity whose mission is to identify, develop, validate, promote, and sustain best practice solutions for cyber defenses or defenses, right? So we have to understand that, you know, their mission is to identify, to develop, to validate, to promote. And these are strong words. So these are very strong words that we need to understand, especially when we come into these things. And this is when we talk about wordplay and identifying and developing and validating and promoting. Those all intertwine. And without that, you want to sustain, like it mentioned, they want to sustain a best practice solution for your company, for your cyber defense security system, right? So when we talk about CIS, we also talk about compliance, and Microsoft is a great example here, and we appreciate Microsoft for doing that and giving us those offerings. So when we talk about it in a global aspect, we talk about it in the U.S. government or industry, the different compliance offerings offered by Azure, offered by Microsoft 365 platform. Um, we talk about CIS benchmarks. We talk about CIS benchmarks. So again, it's a baseline, it's a best practice for security configuring a system, right? So, referencing more of those CIS controls that were developed to help improve the defense capabilities, right? So CIS controls map to many established standards, right? So we undergo two phases of review, and the first occurs during the initial development, where an expert convenes, discuss, creates, and tests. We talk about workplay or working drafts until they reach a consensus on the benchmark, right? So during the second phase, after the benchmark has been published, the team reviews the feedback from the internet community, right? So CIS provides two levels of security, and this is important. I'm telling you because we harden images as well. When we talk about basic requirements and recommended security settings for each environment, and how requiring greater security that could result in some reduced functionalities, right? So having those two levels, layer one and layer two, um, identifies what CIS benchmarks can provide for your security settings. We also talk about, you know, how it's published benchmarks for Microsoft products, right? Like Azure on 365, uh, Windows 10, Windows 11, server benchmarks as well too. And there is a book on this kind of stuff, and I download them religiously. I love them. I work through them whenever I have an opportunity for testing specific things, and I just test to test, and I provide results to myself, and I'll provide results to you guys as well too. So learning these things, especially in an environment, is intended for that customer who wants to plan or deploy or assess secure solutions. and and then incorporated Azure already, right? So this documentation is great. It's a great read. We have the different audit reports and certificates here for the specific lists of benchmarks here. So we just need to click on their website and implement how to implement it, and just frequently asked questions that are usually asked. We can use the Purview Compliance Manager to assess our risks as well too. It is a Microsoft feature, but hardening your compliance and on that trust for trust, and to kind of go through those CIS benchmarks to see where vulnerabilities may happen, or maybe you're missing something, right, from the default settings that from the base image that you have already, or from the um, task sequence managed settings that were forgotten, as part of, or GPOs that were missed. Um, so take a look at this. Understand that there are two levels, so that is also important for you to understand the two levels. Right? Right? And again, it's a good read for you guys to take a look at on your own time. And again, what are CIS benchmarks? And I did go through that. They're just set of globally recognized best practices, right? And that help you, again, like I mentioned before, identify, develop, validate, and promote, sustain those best practices, right? Those solutions for your cybersecurity at your company for defense, right? So defense mechanisms, right? So understand that cloud provider benchmarks address security configurations, right, for AWS, Microsoft, right? These are all valuable teams, Google, IBM, and other public clouds. So they can include guidelines for configuring IAM, which is your identity and access management system. Uh, right, and then you have your system logging protocols, or your network configs, and your compliance safeguards. Here's a great video. I think I'm gonna add this in here. This is a great video for you guys all to watch. Hopefully you guys can hear the sound here.
Many systems ship out with default configurations designed for ease of use and deployment over security. Unless you change these configurations with security in mind, you could leave your systems vulnerable to cyber threat actors. Fortunately, the CIS benchmarks were designed to help. Mapped to the CIS critical security controls, these secure
Just about a
configuration
minute.
recommendations take the guesswork out of effectively hardening your systems. IT professionals from around the world work together to create the CIS benchmarks through a community consensus process. Each benchmark includes audit and remediation procedures that tell you not only what to do to securely configure your systems, but also how to do it. CIS benchmarks are available for more than 100 technologies, including network devices, cloud providers, databases, and more across 25 plus product vendors. Ready to power up your hardening efforts? Download a CIS benchmark today.
So as you can see, this video is very helpful. I'll post this video for you guys. And at the same time, I want you guys to visit the website and kind of take a look at the website, and get yourself familiarized with it, and create a sign-in for that. Create sign-ins for these, guys. These are free. Um, you know, there's different solutions and companies and insights and joining the CIS and their memberships that they have. So again, being able to have that will help you and save a lot of time. So when we look at benchmarks again are free. We can download any benchmark that we want. So if we want to look at specific operating system, and I know in our last class we talked about Mac OS, and we used Ventura, which was Mac OS 13. And we scroll down to that specific benchmark. We can download the benchmark, right? Or if you want to tailor the recommendations for this benchmark, you can create and purchase a Secure Suite membership, right? It's solely up to you. Um, I'm going to show you guys how to use the download the benchmark. So we will click on download the benchmark and fill out the free information, just to fill out your name, your number, etc., etc., etc. And make sure that you agree and fill in the reCAPTCHA, right? Make sure you're not a robot and then get that. So once you've emailed yourself, you filled in the appropriate information, right? You've emailed yourself, you'll get an email, and to that you can click on it. I've already gone ahead and, you know, I, I, I've gone ahead and already downloaded the ones that I like and the ones that I've used in the past and the ones that I've went through. And again, this is totally up to you and what you're using it for, right? So what your needs are. And in this case, I want to talk about Ventura, right? That was our latest, our latest application, right? And the different versions that they have and updates that they have, right? So they're fairly new, they're fairly updated. So it's not something that you need. So this one was updated a couple months ago, almost 4 months ago, back in June. So it's pretty recent in terms of the information that you need and what you need to follow. But before we get into that book, these are free accounts. These you can set these free accounts, and these are meant for auditors, right? And we also talk about creating a free account for CIS benchmarks and all benchmarks, vendor products, right? And we also talk about Nessus scanner and Tenable, and what is the Nessus scanner and what is Tenable, right? So if we can click on Nessus and Tenable, we can download the manager, right, or the agent for that, and download the specific version that we need, right? And download it for virtual machines, right, which is the virtual appliance, and install this right on it. It's just an application, right? So we can agree and install Nessus uh, application and run the MSI file. It's an on-premises lap app application that's installed on your machine, or run through whatever. You can run it through SCCM, you can run it through Intune, you can do whatever you want, right? And then we can set up that and then check out the documentation once it's installed. I'm not going to fully install it for you guys. Actually, you know what? Let's install it. I'm going to install it for you guys just to kind of show you. I deleted after. So I'm going to open up the file and I will install it on my app. And again, once it's installed, it's just computing space requirements. I should be able to click. There you go. So I should be able to click next, accept the terms, next, 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 and finish, right? So when we talk about documentation, we talk about getting started, creating a scan, creating a host discovery scan, create a compliance scan, right? So how to use the help guide, the different solutions that are available for the different products that are available, the agents. So when we create a scan, that we can get started and creating a scan, right? So once we have it open and installed, uh, we'll follow along with these instructions. They're pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It's all here for you guys. And we talked about creating a scan. We downloaded together. Together, we downloaded um, the MSI on the side. Oh, oops. 1 second, guys. Okay. So together we installed the Nessus 10.8.3. Right, so I'm going to open up that. I'm going to copy this file name here, rename the whole path here. So copy that. And put my notes together. We downloaded on the side and installed it and installed it on our laptops, desktops, okay, or VMs. So again, download it, install it. pretty straightforward. You guys will see it in the video how it's installed. And we're gonna create a scan together, and again, this will show you how to create a scan, and you know how to create the scan templates that you want to use, and configure those scan settings, right? So we can launch the scan immediately, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see that as the Nessus installs the NDIS drivers for the 64-bit Tenable Nessus version. So this is all security, cyber security. So this actually helps. And this is now updating the user interface. As you can see, the status with the install wizard, install shield wizard. Right? So that's good. And also, it's not complete. And I think I'm going to exit. I should be able to open it now. There you go. So here's the Nessus application, right? I have a feeling I've already installed this. So let's see if we can find this here. So this installs the web client, right? So we're going to install the web client. You're going to host this on a virtual machine as well. So I want you to host this on a workgroup machine or a server, whatever. You join to the domain. And you can initialize this locally, securely, right? So we're gonna wait till the Nessus is initializing. Um, takes a little bit of time. So this is a port, a default port, 8834 that Nessus uses. So it's used for user interface and um, TSC communication, right? An API call. So by default, the Nessus web server and agent communication occurs over port 8334. So these ports are customizable and can change, can be changed to meet, your user preference if you'd like. Okay. So understand what this is and what this does and why it's there. This is a good read for that. What ports are required and why they're required and what these are required for firewalls and whatnot. So I am going to register offline, and I'm going to click here, and again, I can put different hosts, right, and username and passwords, different encryption passwords, plugins, et cetera, et cetera. But in this case, we're going to register offline and continue. I don't care what I use. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use the expert for now. And so to get the license, I'm going to visit the offline registration site and enter the following challenge code. Okay. Before we do that, post this stuff here. So these are my documentation. So this is reports. Okay. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to visit the offline registration site and run the activation code. And then I'm going to run this PowerShell. Let's see if a PowerShell works here. Maybe PowerShell. And I'm going to paste that. And I'm going to create that, see what that comes out, what that fetches. Let's see. Sure what that is, but okay. Can I find the rest of it? I don't know. This is the offline registration site. I've never seen this before. Okay, so let's go back to here. It says you can find the activation code by signing into or setting a password for your Tenable account. So run the on your Nessus D server and copy the result below. So Nessus D server. Not sure what this is. So let's do this. This is the first time I've actually tried this. So we're gonna do this together. And let's see how I do that. Okay. All right, so I see I have to go here. So on my program files here, I have to run this in the argument. So in PowerShell, I'm going to click on B, and because there's spaces, I'm going to put my quotations, and I'm going to run. Let's do this. It looks like they couldn't find that word. Okay. It's okay. I see. So I'm going to, as administrator. Okay, so rephrase that and right click and switch for PowerShell. Yes, paste. And we'll try again. Hit enter. Let's do this instead. Let's do this. Oh, I guess not. It's won't allow me to do that. Okay, well, I'll have to troubleshoot that some more and get back to you guys on a resolution. Okay, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. It's fine, no problem. I thought I would be able to show you guys. You guys kind of get the idea of how that works and whatnot. So, fortunately, I can't get it to run, and we will get back to you on that and see what we can do. So I've gone ahead and administer some of the command line interface using the utility. So again, I'll have to take a look at how to use that utility. Stop the, we can start the agent, stop the agent, maybe the service. I'll take a look at see if there's any services that need to be added. Um, you know, we'll see what services are running in our task manager. See if that's running. Let's see. So if we look at the different processes and we scroll down to N, so all the services are running, so that's a good thing. Those are all running perfectly fine. Um, so that's good. Those are the system services that need to run. Um, I'll have to take a look at it some more, guys, and read up. This is my first time trying this out. Um, it's been a while. I'll have to review this with you a little bit more. Okay, so uh, understand that again. You know, see this linking key. Yeah, again, um, continue. I don't know what this is. I have to take a look at it. Uh, right. Um, Again, I'll have to figure out how to get this challenge on the server and copy the result. So I'll have to take a look at that. That's something I want to do. And um, so we can ask Copilot just to kind of help alleviate that. If I don't find any information, that's okay. Um, I'll review it some more and see what we can do. So it's safe to sign in and then run on the Nessus to get the challenge code, but I'm not sure. I said I can explain this command a little bit more. Where uh, what this says. See, it doesn't. It says if you're accidentally to use the SSH to connect to it, put a terminal or a command prompt on the machine with an OK. So that's what I did. I've installed it, and then it says to type this and then hit enter, which is what I did. So it's looking for command prompt. Okay, so that's fine. So we'll copy this again, copy, and we'll run this again and see what happens. And we'll remove this PowerShell, unfortunately. This needs to be as admin. So when I run this again, I can also use terminal. So I'm going to run this as administrator, and I'm going to remove the $sign, which is for terminal. See what happens. Well, it looks like it's not really picking this up. So I've installed it here. Okay, so we'll take a look at that later. I'll have to read up on this more. Shoot that, but you guys kind of get the gist of things. I'll have to troubleshoot some more. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go back to our documentation here. No problem. So when we are installing, or together we downloaded it and installed it in our, we we will connect to it, and I will show you steps in on a later date, right? Okay. So we also talked about ports, and we're talking about security, Azure security, um, you know, uh, for anyone taking the Azure 8104, 8500 exams, Azure IaaS cloud environment inside and out, and then top to bottom, and then secure. That's what that is. Uh, it's knowing the administration of the IaaS cloud environment, the infrastructure as a service, and its environment inside and out and top to bottom, understanding what that is, and what it's used for, and um, how it's used, and what it's used, and when it's used, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So when we also talk about IaaS, we also talk about, um, what is it, and how is it used, and what is it used for. Um, so kind of understand um, what that is. Uh, we also want to talk about, how to create IaaS. We want to create. Let me take a picture of this. Let me get some pictures here. See if I can design here for you guys. All right. So when we talk about um, Azure IaaS, we talk about our on-premises, we talk about our cloud, um, you know, we talk about the synchronization to the cloud, right? And honor from our branch. This is our, let's say, our Canadian data center branch, data center, right? And within our Canadian data center, we have our Ontario branches, right? Ontario branches, right? So again, understand that. Um, we talked about that in earlier videos. It's a little bit bigger for you guys here. Okay, so understand how that works, because that is crucial when we're talking about the specific stuff and how it works. When we talk about, again, Azure IaaS, we talk about infrastructure as a service, right? Uh, it it becomes like, what is it, and how do we use it, and do we need VPN? How does it work? Must we connect to a resource from a VPN, et cetera, et cetera. So these are things that come into play. Now, when we look at our specific VMs, our machines, our physical bare metal machines, our servers within our environment and our branches, right? We offer, especially our DCs and whatever file servers and whatnot, that offer AAA services, right? To those 20 or 30 or even 40,000 users, right? It provides that authentication, right? So within our Azure Active Directory, right? Directory, right? We provide those authentication, AAA, right? Authentication, authorization, right? Counting and auditing, right? you kind of have to understand how that works in the Azure environment, right? So as a service, right, we're providing software, software as a service, right? We're providing a subscription, such as SharePoint Online, Outlook Online, which is for emails, your Teams Online, which is meant for meetings and conferences, and then your OneDrive, which is sort of your drive for files, your cloud drives. You don't need a VPN to secure over the internet, right? You don't need it, right? If you're from home um, on the VPN, there's a VPN gateway. And within that VPN gateway, you have your VPN certificates installed, and those can expire, be revoked, and renewed, right? So uh, you kind of understand that you must connect from a VPN from home, like if you're at home, for example. And I'm going to bring out my drawings here, this is my VPN, let's see. So this is my VPN, and this would be my domain controller. So that's my domain controller, and we'll have a database, right, which is our SQL database, right, and then we have our file servers or web servers, right, our IaaS, right? Web servers, web server, right, and this will have our intranet pages or our website pages. I can talk about this in another video, but again, kind of understand how this all works. And so this is going to be act as our VPN, right? This is going to be our VPN machine. And especially if we're like, for example, we're at home, right? And we're on our laptops at home. This could be a bring BYOD device, or it could be a work computer. So when we talk about the different systems here. Let's say this is our Mac, whatever, it doesn't matter. It could be a Windows or a Mac at this point. I'll pick whatever I want. So I'll pick this Windows 11 machine, right? And we are, oh, right? And we are at home, right? From this machine, right? We're at home, right? So we will build a house here at home. Right? This is going to be my house. Doesn't matter. There's a house, right? So this is our home. So this is our home, right? Right. And we are connected to a laptop. We have a switch in our home, right? So we'll have a switch in our home. Yeah, we are switch here. Switch. I do have a better switch here. Do I have one? Okay. Yeah, here we go. I'll take the switch for now. Doesn't matter. Uh, call this a physical switch. Take this switch right here. Right, this is the switch I have at home. Right, we'll use this physical switch. Right. Smaller here. So I'm going to take this down here. There we go. So again, this is a switch, right? This is our switch, and this switch is, at home where we have this in our house, and it's connected to our PC at home. Right? So, right, this is our home router. Let's see. So it could be a router modem, right, in our homes, right? If you're working from home, right, or are you also working from your office? Now, we have a VPN from our home, and we use a gateway, right? We use this gateway from our home here, right? So we use a VPN gateway, right? on our VPN machine, gateway. And within that machine, we have a VPN certificate. And those certificates can expire, can be revoked, or they can renew. And I'm going to, there we go, a little bit. All right, so this is our machine. This is our VPN machine. It could be a standalone machine. It could be a domain join machine. It could be whatever you want it to be. It's not a domain, but it could be a standalone. It could be a workgroup machine, or it could be a member server. All depends on how you have it set up in your company. And again, those users need to connect and to our office, to our Active Directory, on premises Active Directory, which is installed in here. So our ADD, right, RAD, right, that's installed here, and it needs that to authenticate and offer authentication, authorization, admin accounting. And again, this also needs to be implemented within our cloud environment. Now, when we talk about IaaS, Azure IaaS, we talk about Azure as a service. And what is Azure as a service? So Azure as a service, it creates VMs, it creates containers. We can create databases, we can create virtual networks, we can create storage. It uses underlying hardware. So we need to be connected from the VPN to our Azure IaaS resources, right? So kind of understand that, right? So in terms of SaaS is just a subscription. We don't need a VPN, right? We don't need that secure connection over the internet. We just need the internet, right? So this can act as the internet. In order for SaaS to work, we need internet, right? Right? And and why do we need internet, right? So that we can connect. We don't need a VPN, right, to connect to these. So understand the difference between SaaS and IaaS, right? So with SaaS, we are providing a software as a service. And again, that is with a subscription. So sort of like your M365, your Microsoft 365, your Office 365, SharePoint, Outlook online, emails, your team online, meetings and conferences, your OneDrive online, right? These are some sites that we can use, that we can talk about. Power Automate. These are all software as a service. We also have Visio software as a service, right? So understand how that works, right? So, we need to connect from home, for example. We need to connect to our services. With IaaS, we have to connect from a VPN to our Azure IaaS resources, right? So, and again, those resources we're creating a VM, right? So we can create a VM, a VM. We create containers, right? Within Azure IaaS, create databases, right? We can create, virtual networks, right? And we can create storage. So, right, well, we can add different services and create services, create Azure services. Right? Services like Azure Fabric cluster or storage cluster, cluster, right? And I think I've explained to you guys how to do that, right? We can use the free tier system or free service for 12 months, right? Once we have the free service or pay as you go, it's a free service that we can use for 12 months to create those Azure Fabric clusters, right? So when we're logging in simple. We're logging in as portal.azure.com, right? And we're logging in with our Azure based names, right? So when we are looking at the specific service, right? So we're looking at the services. Let's see, services or free services, right? We can type in free services, right? We scroll down and these are the free services that we have, right? That are available for us to use. And these are included in monthly free amounts, right? So all Azure accounts can use up to specified monthly free amounts, right? So service usage is billed as a pay as you go. So with pay as you go, you reach your monthly limit, it'll use that, right? So for example, I can create this service fabric cluster, right? or DevOps tools. So I can create it for free here, just clicking on it, right? And creating our free resources, right? Let's just load it in a second. Right? Based on the subscriptions that we have, right? So we need that subscription set. We can create this on a operating system that we want, right? That's available for us, either Linux or Windows, right? So you can use our Ubuntu servers to create these service fabric clusters, or we can use our data center server cores, right? Versions 2020, not 16 to 2022, right? And then set up the initial scale set compatibility node, et cetera, right? And then our node types. I think we've already talked about this, but again, kind of get the gist of things. Right? So we can create that free service. Okay, going back to the image again, this is just for you guys to understand what that is and how it works and why we use it. So you know, take a note of that. Just gonna paste this here. This here on the side. Okay, so understand that, what this is, how this works, what that is, the differences between SaaS and IaaS, and knowing the differences between those. Again, what we can create in that Azure IaaS, we can also create applications as well to enterprise apps within our IaaS, right? And not just our SaaS. Again, know the difference of how to use it and when to use it. Okay. So there you have it. There's some information for you guys to take a look at. So, all right. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to paste it in my notes. This is the drawing you guys to kind of have as well. And kind of review the video later on once you guys have an opportunity to do so. Um, so this is S versus diagrams. Okay. All right. So it's back in my over here. So we talked about this as well too. This is an important understanding of IaaS, infrastructure as a service, and SaaS, how that works. We talked about that. We also, when we talk about CIS, we also talk about, again, security posture by using Microsoft for cloud and Microsoft Defender for cloud, right? How it's a cloud native application protection platform with just a set of security measures and practices that were designed by Microsoft to protect all cloud-based apps that a company has or uses from various cyber threats and vulnerabilities, right? So it, it, it does combine the capabilities of development in terms of DevOps and security operations, and the different solution and how it unifies the security management as a code level across the multi-cloud. It's a little difficult to understand, but again, I'll post this links in there so you can kind of read up on this stuff. It also poses as posture management. They use it as posture and workload protection platform. So these are some great wordplay words to kind of take a look at and review with you because these are important, especially when you're if you are deciding to implement this and know this and when you're going into an exam or you're kind of going into a meeting with your uh, company that you're meeting for, job interviews. So you'll want to understand this kind of stuff too. And how the Defender external attack surface management security is Microsoft, how Microsoft deals with that as well too. That's also important for you to kind of see beyond visibility, beyond the firewall, and knowing those external attack surface management challenges and capabilities that it has. You can kind of read up on this in all the real-time inventory. Uh, you want to learn about the diagram, you can click on that and kind of look at the differences between Centennial, Unified Portal, and XDR, which is your extended detection response, right? So secure in terms of security operations, these are important for you to understand the differences between that and how the Defender external attack surface management works, right? So know those assets and know those unmanaged assets, right? The difference is it'll recognize those for sure. So again, read up on that and how that works. Great pictures with videos, descriptions here for you guys to follow. So this is all posture. This is very important stuff. You want to know wordplay is very important, right? So know those words, know what they do, what those are. Okay, so we also talk about posture. We talk about configuring and managing these threat protections by using the Defender for Cloud and how it's used across Intune and how it's used across SCCM and how to implement those roles and features within your environments and how we can configure those for servers, how we can configure those for databases, how we can manage those alerts for cloud in our software or MECM environment in our Intune environment, right? So we have our different architectures and roles for those, right? So how we manage those is very, very important. We can enable the workload protection for uh, MD for cloud, which includes our storage, containers, databases, key vaults, resource manager, DNS, and app services, right? So we need to learn how to configure them. We need to manage them, configure them, and evaluate. So it is very, very important to understand these words because you should understand how to evaluate scans, how to configure automation, right? So wordplay is important. How to manage and respond to security alerts, right? Configure, right? Enable. These are great words, right? So I know what those are and know how they work, right? So understand that. And then we talk about the paths for security. I'm Azure Security A500 certified, believe it or not. I am a the course and certified. So give me 1 second. I'm going to sign 1 second. So, you know, I've gone and let's see, Azure. There we go. Topics. Where's the word? There's one. Give me 1 second. Trading. There we go. Okay, so if I go to my paths, you can go to the path, and I want you guys to try this yourself and complete the courses. I'll have to post that. I'll have to find it. Give me 1 second, guys. Sec. Um, so um, there we go. So copy, post this in my notes here. Just recently completed a diploma um, for this, and I'm going to browse all trainings, and I'll show you where the training is for that, where I've trained for it and, before taking the exams. So if you go to AZ, type in AZ, I've already completed all the paths. So um, we look for Azure, let's see, 500, AZ 500. Did this already. Uh, Taken this path already. I've already done this, right? And you can take the different paths here. The different A500s here. There you go. Um, Look at that. Um, there you go. So this is all part of that. I've already completed that. Um, Give me 1 second. So you can see there's my diploma there that I just completed recently. I'm fully cloud computing. That includes the AI, AZ 500, cybersecurity 900 and 104. So the this one here, if I go to completed, I think I go here. I think it's here. It's been a while since I've been here, but if I go back to achievements, I should be able to show you courses that I've taken here. There we go. So I've taken all these courses. I'm part of all these courses. I've taken this security course here. So you can take this AZ 500T00, right? And I've taken all this already, and I've done all the modules. So if you want to take a look at identity management and access, secure networking, secure computer storage and databases, These are all important stuff. Please feel free to do that if you are looking to complete the exams. Again, you can do that as well. Um, Already done so. So again, you should be able to do the same thing too. So again, take that. You can watch the videos here and complete the modules for security engineer, container instances, networking, right? The different modules within here, right? You can implement these and work with the different, for example, you will, what is an Azure virtual network, right? You can create your own network if you want. Sometimes they do have sandboxes in here where you can use those sandboxes and you can read those sandboxes, right? And you get to use the networking pricing, networking limits, pricing calculator, et cetera, et cetera. So moving on, we look at our virtual machine, and I want to talk about um, the CS benchmark for Ventura, right? And I want to go through a couple of these with you just to kind of show you what I mean, these recommendations, because these recommendations are important, right? So what I'm going to do is do a side-to-side comparison here, and I want to read that. I want you guys to also download some of these that I have, right? And you can download these PDFs and take a look at them. I've gone ahead and done the same thing. So if I have my Ventura opened, again, you can go through the table of contents for that. This has been updated already, right? So for Ventura. So again, you want to go through some of these recommendations, like ensuring all Apple software is current. And you can go through these and actually do these, right? And say, hey, because ensure all the Apple provided software is current. Okay, fine, automated. How do we do that? So, as software vendors, security release patches and software patches for their products when vulnerabilities, security vulnerabilities discovered, right? So there's no simple way to complete this action without a network connection to an Apple software repository. So we need to ensure that the appropriate access for this is for this appropriate access for this control. So this check is only for what Apple provides through software updates. So software updates should be run at a minimum of every 30 days. So I can take this here, this thing, and run it on our terminal, right? So I can log in as an admin and or as an whatever account that audit account that we have, right? So for AD, and we are going to run this command and hit enter. So kind of understand where I'm going with this. I'm just going to show you one or two for now, just because I want you guys to read up on this and how to use it. So again, our graphical method, right? How to do it through our graphical method, how to do it through our terminal method, right? So we're going to try it all three. So this will kind of show us how that works, right? So we're going to try both. Its rationale. Is it important that these updates be applied in a timely manner, right? So understand the outputs that you get from this. So the date and time. Is it 30 days? Should be in at least the last 30 days. So from the date of today, it should be in the last 30 days, right? And installation of these updates can be disruptive to users, especially if a restart is required. So major updates need to be applied after creating an organization patch policy. It is also advised to run updates and force restarts during system downtime. So these are all applied through our applications, through our automation, through our CCM or into, right? Um, or not while in active use. So knowing how to do those uh, restarts and what the scheduling is in MECM and how to do it. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through the graphical method of doing it. So I'm going to go to Go, right? And sorry, I'm going to go to Apple here and go to System Settings. And when I open the system settings, I'm going to go to General. So just like every other Mac device, right? We're going to do that. And I'm going to go to software update, right? And select show updates to verify that there are no software updates available, right? Uh, so it's saying show updates, right? I don't see that. So there are updates available. So we're going to click on the other application. And as you can see, um, you can see show updates. Right? So here's the automatic update. So as you can see here, you will see the updates, right? So in this picture, it didn't really help, but again, this is where the updates are. And it's showing me Sequoia, which is the new one. And eventually I will update it, but I'm not going to do that now, but I am going to update that. So understand we need to be current. So it's telling us to be current. Let's be current, right? This is my test environment. Okay, that's fine. Let's just upgrade it now. But I want to show you the terminal method. Now, if I open up the terminal method, right? Let's go to, it's a little bit bigger here. And I want to copy this terminal here to verify. So I need to copy this. So if we're running any previous versions of macOS, the output will stay that the current version is available as long as the system is on the current point release, so it is compliant. So that matches its compliance settings, right? So let's go ahead and see if we can run this software update here to show us our last successful date and time. Okay, so I'm going to quit the system settings and I'm going to go back into Safari. Quit Safari for now. I don't need it. Finish quit Safari. So there's that. I want to go back to the download section. Finder. Okay, so if we go back into our goal, right? I want to find terminal, right? So I want to find the terminal. So I'm going to open up the utilities and I'm going to click on terminal. So once I click on terminal, right, I'm going to input the document. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it or type it in here. Let's type it in here. Whatever. I'll type it in here. Yeah. I'm going to type it in here. Right. Defaults. On defaults, I need enter. I'll put my password in. And hit OK. So yeah, I want to access the contacts. So we go ahead and we log in. We're gonna run this a step at a time here. It's asking us, and then we're gonna grab our next lineup, which is library. Um, just type this in because I can't copy and paste. References slash com dot apple dot software update space line grep dash e, and I'm gonna add last full last full successful date and hit enter. Did I spell this wrong? It's a little bit bigger. Copy this. The response should be in the last 30 days. Okay, so I go here. Copy this and paste this here. This is a new notepad, paste, and copy, cut. And then I'm going to go back to my machine and put this information into my machine. Look, paste. Oh, so it's not working. I can't copy and paste it. I don't know what the full command is, but again, there's an example of that. We'll go to the next one here. We can copy this command to see if the we can check for the updates. And again, this is to ensure it's enabled. So we can copy this command, open this in our machine here. I can open this in the machine. I would have to search for it and download it onto the machine, and then try the method. I'm gonna pick one more. See what else I can do. Something easy, just to show you the graphical versus the uh, terminal method here. That'll show you that. Let's pick another one here. Let's go down to okay, here. Just gonna pick a page here, and again, selection of date and time. Um, we can do the date and time to make sure that it's enabled, right? So if we go to system settings, right? So if we go to get out of terminal, we should close the terminal right now. Put terminal, I don't need it, but you guys kind of get the gist of things. So if we go to the Apple here, go to system settings, then we're going to select general, right? And then within our general, we got a date and time, right? And we can set our time as enabled. So let's ensure that the date is enabled. If it's not, let's enable that. And then put our password in, right? So that's enabled, and that's how they want it to be. So again, you can also do this through terminal. There's some others. Try one more. Um, let's try the sharing. Let's see if the sharing is enabled through graphical. So within the systems, we go to general, and then we'll go down to sharing, and then verify the CD DVD is not enabled, right? We can also use that, and we don't want it enabled. Again, we want it disabled for now. Uh, so to be automated, we need to ensure that it's not enabled. We can always add that on for sharing. We don't want that to share. And again, if you don't know what that means, it allows users of other computers to use these computers. We want to turn that off, right? So you always want to ask before that. So that's important. Um, you can use the Finder, if I'm not mistaken. There's a Finder. Um, it's called the Finder. If you guys want to know what that means, um, you can use that as well too. With the system here. So there's something called a Finder. I'm sure you guys heard of it. That's an alpha method you guys can use. So there's one last thing I'm going to try. Um, Following down the CIS, which is important here, is ensure remote login is disabled, right? And it'll tell you it allows the interactive terminal connection to the computer, right? So we need to automatically verify that it's not enabled, right? So how do we do that? System settings, general, login, right? But we can also do this by terminal. This by terminal, one not check to make sure that that's all done. One more last thing. Vulnerable events is disabled. Same thing in sharing. You want to disable the remote Apple sharing. And that's about it for now. I think that's sort of an idea. I want you guys to try these out on your end and let me know, share your results, see how it works on your end. You can do this for any machine that you want. Go buy it. There's a lot, there's 400 pages. It's not like telling you to do these all at once, but take a look at some of these and see if you can try this on your own and share your results, right? It's pretty straightforward. Other than that, I think we are complete with everything. Again, if you want to create a new trial for M365 for Portal, all right, your E5 account, it'll ask you for a credit card. The trial can be used for uh, 2 months, right? 60 days. Once it finishes, you can create a new trial if you want to. I've created this version, E5 trial. I've created many for trial. We also talk about private um, identity management. Again, you can talk about privileged identity management and how to configure that. We're also important for security. I want to thank you guys again for your time and patience, and thank you. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to message me on my WhatsApp channel and like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.